I'm Calvin from Habitat, and today I am going to go through a big tutorial for you, pretty much give you the rundown on the entire platform. If you have a question about just a small section of this isn't a great video for you. I'm planning on breaking this up into smaller chunks, but in the meantime, if you are wondering about something and you don't see a video for it, just reach out to me directly. I'll be happy to put together a video tailored to your question. Getting started, this is your standard Habitat financial dashboard. We have a few different sections here and we'll go through these, but right now we don't have any information in this account, so they're all blank. As we add information, this earnings graph will populate with bars. It'll allow you to see how your business has done in a given quarter or over a given period of time. This alert section will alert you to, let's say deals that don't total to 100%. Right now, it's letting us know that this account owner hasn't set up their account fully. They need to add their account information, their tax information, and their payment information. Content will populate with different products, whether that's singles, albums, artists, ISRCs, compilations, what have you. That'll all live here. And it's important to distinguish that from deals, which will be the actual deal structures that we make our calculations against. So this is products, this is the deals. They're slightly separate, and you tie them together in the process of creating the deal itself. We generate two types of statements. We generate statements for your business. It'll let you know how your record label or your publishing company has been doing. And then we generate statements for your artists. So artists will be able to see how much they've earned during a given reporting period. It's worth noting too that this is very similar to how the setup is on the artist side of things as well. Artists will be able to see their deals here. They'll also be able to create deals for their collaborators here. They'll receive their statements here, and they'll have an earnings graph just like this. So very simple, kind of straightforward view here. Payees, these will be the artists or the songwriters or just the general rights holders that you have to make payments to. And by clicking into one of these payees, you'll see a lifetime earnings report generated as well. So statements will show you a snapshot in time, while the lifetime earnings report will show you, the earnings over the course of a artist's association with you. From there, you can make payments. You can add expenses and track expenses in Habitat. And then, of course, add new revenue streams. So we process master royalties as well as publishing royalties and merchandise income. So anything that earns money or earns revenue for your business, you'll upload and track in the revenue streams section. So let's get started there by adding a distribution report. I also really quick want to show you that you can add one-off income events. That's handy if you've got like a sync licensing deal where it's a one-time payment. You just want to add a one-off income event. You can add that there. But for recurring income events like distribution reports or publishing reports, you just want to click add new revenue stream. So we'll keep stuff kind of simple. I've got a set of records here that are kind of full of dummy data and fully recognizing, most income statements are going to be tens of thousands of lines long. This only has a few records on it. It's got about $100 worth of royalties in it. And so we're keeping it simple just to kind of easily show you how this all works. I want to draw your attention to this reprocess button. This is an important button within our system. What it does is it runs all the numbers fresh. So anytime you make changes, you'll want to reprocess in order for those changes to take effect. Anytime you add a new revenue stream, reprocess it, and you'll be able to dive in and see those report details. If we go back real quick, there's one other thing I want to show you, which is we've created a reporting period, which allows us to validate and unvalidate the period. Essentially, when you are working in Habitat, you don't want your artists to see all this working data. You want to show them the final data only. So when you've done all your work, you come back to this page, click validate, and that'll update the artist with that reporting period's data. If we go back into reporting details, we'll be able to see how many tracks were in the report. We'll be able to see how many royalties were earned in that report, as well as the royalties before the conversion. We'll see reporting periods were included, and we'll be able to make notes as well. We can then download the report from Habitat or view the raw data in there as well. And then if we click complete deal and content information, we'll be able to see what those 3 tracks are, and it'll note here, hey, these tracks are not already associated with deals that are in the system. So as you add deals, you associate the tracks with them, and then once you associate that once, you shouldn't have to associate them again. Only new content in new reports will populate here. Now, sometimes someone forgets to add an ISRC to a SoundCloud upload or a Bandcamp upload, and so there is a duplicate. And in that case, you can just click this merge with existing track button, and that'll merge the duplicate track with the existing track that's already in our system. From here, you can also add it to existing deals, or you can create new deals. In this case, of course, we don't have any existing deals, so let's do that now. So to create a deal, you first need to create payees. Again, payees are anybody that needs to get paid royalties that pass through you. So that could be a songwriter, it could be an artist, it could be a rights holder, it could be a graphic designer that you've agreed to pay 1% on an album as a form of compensation too. So if we click create new payee, we'll just start creating some dummy payees here. So we'll name one Miller. And we'll give him some information. And you can see here, this is the lifetime earnings report. Now there's no earnings to report yet. And so you see these all total 0. But as we earn income, these numbers will change. If we want to add another payee, we can create another payee. Let's name this one Jesse. And give him a different email. And then let's start adding and creating some deals. So now we've got our 2 payees. We can create deals with those payees. So let's start our deal creation with a deal called Blame. What we've just created is an umbrella deal. On these deals, you can add a recordings deal, you can add a composition deal, or you can add a merchandise deal. You can then go add notes to the deal or upload a contract file here. Keep stuff simple and create recordings deal. Let's say we'll do a start date, end date. You can also choose whether this is a copyright transfer or a licensing deal. You can choose whether it's an artist, label, or distribution deal. You can set the term type, whether it's fixed, open-ended, or perpetual. And then you can say, does this deal automatically extend or not? And then, of course, you can add notes. We'll submit that. And we have our deal page. From here, again, you can associate a composition deal, or you can add a merchandise deal to it as well. You can add tracks to the deal. But before we do any of that, let's start with adding the payees. So we'll start with the record label. We'll say the record label has a 50% share in this deal. Submit that. And then we'll say that Miller also has a 50% share in this deal. Now you can add as many of these payees as you want. You just have to make sure that it totals to 100. From here, we can convert this to an advanced deal type, which allows us to do a couple of different things. First of all, it splits these shares into the artist share and the label share. So we can go back here and edit and say, hey, that's a label. And so now the label, Miller has 100% of the artist share, and the label has 100% of the label share. We can also carve out a split type and say, the download splits are going to be different than the streaming and general splits. So now downloads, we can change that to be, a 70-40 deal or a 70-30 deal if we'd like. And we'll just do that for fun. So now we've got downloads at 70-30 and all other earnings at 50-50. You can also click up here and add a deal action. A deal action is kind of an automated change in the deal based on a certain benchmark. So for example, let's say in 5 years, you want these deal terms to change and you want the deal terms to be a 70-30 after 5 years. You can add a deal action and designate, hey, this is the event. It's going to be after 5 years from this date, and the outcome is going to be a change in the royalty share. Similarly, you could do it for number of streams reached or a specific earnings amount. And so it's a really handy way to just kind of update your deals automatically without having to sign new deals or go in here and edit things manually. So we have our deal, and now we have to add tracks to our deal. So let's add some existing tracks from our system. Let's add blame. And then for fun, I know this is a different artist for those of you watching super closely, but we'll add this track trust to this deal as well. And then let's create a deal for our second payee, Banky. And we'll say that is we'll name that touch deal, create a recordings deal. And you could do an artist deal. So actually I'll go back, like let's call this Banky artist deal, right? And so now you can add a whole bunch of tracks in here, and it's all just the same deal terms for those tracks. Switch this to artist, select our start and end date again. We'll say it's perpetual. We'll click submit. So for this one, we'll say it's a 70-30 deal in favor of the artist. As far as onboarding goes, I know we're doing this kind of the long way. As far as onboarding goes, our team will set this all up for you initially. And then you only need to add these as you add new deals to your system. And there is a bulk addition feature. You don't need to add all these individually necessarily, but for the sake of this video, that's what we're going to focus on. If you're adding 50 deals a quarter, let us know. We'll help you take care of that. We'll teach you how to use the bulk upload feature. So now we have two deals. We got two deals. We got two artists. Let's add some expenses as well, right? Let's say we're just going to add a $10, or let's say we've got some advertisements, or let's say we got some artwork, right? We'll say we paid $10 for it. We'll say the vendor was someone named Josh. We got the date, got the reporting period we want to associate it with. And we're gonna recoup that from the artist's total earnings. So everything that comes through Habitat, that's all of their recordings income, all of their composition income, all their merchandise income. You can also, designate one of those. And if you do that, you get to select how you want to recoup those across different shares. So if we do a recording earnings, we can select, do we want to record or recoup those from only or in fixed amounts, if we want to recoup those proportional to the deals that are added to this expense, or if we want it to recoup proportional to earnings of the deals that are added to this expense. That's fairly confusing, and that's the very next video I'm going to make. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about how those differ specifically, but they are different, and it is worth checking out that video if you have questions. So we'll do our first expense here. We'll say it's proportional to earnings. And we'll say this is for the Banky deal. So we've got artwork for Banky. You can add an expense file, so receipts can go here, really handy. But you'll add a share to recoup this from. So in this case, we want to associate it with the Banky artist deal. It was some $10 artwork, and we don't want to pay for that as a label. So we'll only add Jesse's share of the Banky artist deal. We could add our share as well, or if there are multiple artists, we could add Jesse and the other artist on this deal to it. But in this case, we'll just add Jesse. And if we want to add another expense, we can create a new expense. And this time we'll do the total deal earnings. Click create new expense here. We'll say this is an advance. We'll say it's $1,000. Say it's $100. Small advance. Say we're giving it to our friend Miller. And because it's an advance, we want it to recoup against all the earnings out there that are incoming to Miller. Click submit. And you've got those details here. Go back to expenses. You'll be able to see the amount that's recouped from that share or from that expense. Right now it says 0 because we haven't reprocessed stuff. We've been doing all this work. And that's my recommended workflow. You do all the work that you need to do and then click reprocess. So now that we've got our deal, our payees, and our expenses set up, let's go ahead and click that reprocess royalty button. And if we click into report details, there's one other thing I want to show you here. From here, we can add this track to a deal as well. So we added those 2 tracks from the deal page. We can also add tracks from the missing deal information page. So we'll add this to the Banky artist deal. And I realize we're going to need to reprocess that in order to get that information in there as well. So let's reprocess one more time. So we just made a change. Click reprocess because we've just added that track to that deal. Now we'll click home and we'll see these earnings start to populate. So this record label has done $31 in earnings during this reporting period. And if we click into statements, we will see 2 created statements, or 3 created statements really, one for the record label, one for Miller, and one for Jesse. So if we click into Jesse's account or statement here, we'll see the starting balance. We'll see the earnings on the account, any payments that have been made. There haven't been any payments made on this account yet. So earnings outstanding, $54.37. You can see how we got there. You see total track earnings, his share of it, his earnings gross, and then of course that $10 expense leaves him with $54.37 on this track, or on this this report. Similarly, if we click into one of these lifetime earnings report, let's click into Miller this time, we'll see the same thing broken down by lifetime. So this one's a little bit more complicated. We see the net earnings, the gross earnings, payments, and earnings outstanding. So we owe, this guy Miller $3.56. You see the total earnings there as well. So how do we then pay the artists? Well, let me switch over to a different account here to give you a picture of that. So I'm going to pause the video and be back in just one moment. All right, I'm back. This is the account for my record label, Bonfire Records. And so all this information is, mine to use however I want. We're not going to dive into any sensitive information here, but we will show you just how to make payments. So this is your payment screen. These are past payments. And if you click into view details, you can get those sensitive information. If you need a payment ID or whatever, you can click in there and grab that. But if we click create payment, got to move my little head here. If we click create payment, we have a couple different options. We can either create a single payment, and you'll see the balance that you have in your Habitat account right here. So we work kind of like PayPal. You fund a balance, and then you can use that balance to pay your artists. So right now, we've got $800 in that Habitat balance. We can send a payment to an artist. We can send, $100. We can select who is going to be responsible for the payment processing fee, whether it's us as the sender or the artist as the receiver. And then we can select what period we want to make that payment associated with. You can also create multiple payments at the same time. And this is where we save a lot of people a lot of time. So as the artist onboard, they enter their payment details. You don't have to collect that information. We'll collect that for you. You can make it so that, either all your artists add their own payment information. So some of your artists are going to get paid from PayPal, some of them are going to get paid from Wise, some of them are going to get paid on Venmo, or you can designate, hey, I only want to pay people on TransferWise. That's up to you as you set up your account. We have it set up so that payees can get paid from bank transfer, from PayPal, from Venmo. They receive a check. So all of these are different payment methods that we're going to use Habitat to pay in one click. So you've got your Habitat balance, you've got the total amount that you owe, and then you've set up a threshold. So this is, again, part of the account setup, but you set a threshold. So it could be 50, it could be 100, it could be $500. Pretty much, you're not going to pay anybody less than $500. So we've got a payment threshold of 50. And so this screen populates with all the artists that are owed over $50. From here, we can deselect anyone that we don't want to pay right now, and then click submit. When we click submit, everyone's going to get money. They're going to get it paid in the way that they want. So again, Taylor Lawn is going to get paid on PayPal, while Mowgli is going to get paid with a bank transfer. Anyone who is missing payment information is going to get an email that says, hey, you've got a new payment, sign up for Habitat in order to collect. And all they have to do is sign up for Habitat account. We just need their tax information in order to legally pay them. Pretty simple and straightforward. The other thing I want to show you on this account is our tools section. So we've got 3 tools. We're launching budgeting here in about the next week. We're really excited about that. I'll do a quick video on that when it's out. But we will have 4 tools as well as more that we're adding on here. This is what is included in that $35 a month kind of sessions level for our premium subscribers. We have a rights management dashboard. This allows you to see which deals are expired, which deals are missing rights, which deals are expiring soon. Just helps you stay on top of contract renegotiation, all that stuff. We have a 1099 tax reporting center. So for American record labels and publishers, you can actually use this to generate 1099s, send them to your artists, and then also file them with the IRS. For artists that are not based in the US, we don't have that kind of smooth tax API set up for every country in the world yet. Ideally, we're going to be expanding that into the other large music markets here. But we do allow you to see how much you've paid each artist. So we give you that information that allows you to say, hey, this is how much I paid artist X in 2023. So you can then use that to do your taxes on your end. And then we have a contracts feature. So this is a pretty standard e-signature portal. You can create a contract, add fields, signature fields, and then from here you can actually have the artist sign it and sign it yourself. So you see here, this has been fully completed. And you see the signatures down at the bottom, as well as all the cybersecurity stuff, the certificate of completion and whatnot. But you got the signatures, the initials, just your standard e-signature platform as far as that. So if you're using DocuSign right now, you don't need to use DocuSign anymore. You can use Habitat to sign your contracts, as well as process your royalties and make your payments and do your taxes and create budgets. And that's the last thing, just to give you a little teaser about what we're launching here soon, is this budgeting app. That's going to allow you to actually connect your bank account directly into Habitat. So as you're adding expenses, you can you can just flag expenses directly from your bank account and add that to your expense tracking feature. It'll also allow you to create budgets and then tag those expenses towards a specific budget. So let's say you have a release budget and you've got a $10,000 maximum and you want to spend, $5,000 of those dollars on a music video. You can just flag every single music video expense on your bank account and it'll tell you, hey, you're getting close to maxing out your music video budget. So that's what we got in the works coming up soon, as well as a bunch of other tools. And I think that's it for this demo. But if you have any other questions, just shoot me an email at Calvin, CALVIN, @habitat.financial. And if there's anything in this video that we didn't cover that you want me to cover, I'd be happy to make another video tailored specific to your question. So just reach out and don't be a stranger. See you, everybody.